And today, we'll be focusing on all of those, but most importantly, the memo that came out and the NLC organized labor saying it's planning for a national strike on Wednesday. That's supposed to start 7th. Which is Wednesday. So that's all and more that we would be looking at on the show this morning. And I have just the right guest to have this conversation with us. In the studio with me at the moment is Alex Agwanwor. He is the NLC chairman, Rivers State. Sir, you're welcome. Good morning.
Thank you. And
we also have with us over the phone Comrade Dr. Eze Ifeanyi. He is the National Industrial Relations Officer, Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association, Pengasin, and also a council member of the TUC in Rivers State. Hello, Dr. Eze. Good morning.
Yeah, hello, FM morning.
Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us. So, gentlemen, let's quickly get into the conversation. I would like to start with my guest here in the studio. And for the listener, we are streaming live on Facebook and Twitter, so you can join in on the conversation. You can watch us live in the studio on Facebook at Nigeria Info 92.3 PH, on Twitter, Nigeria Info PH. And you can also take advantage of our WhatsApp portal where you can send in your questions and thoughts as we make progress with the conversation. Any questions you would like the guests to answer? Well, send them to us on WhatsApp using the number 0809 0306416. I'd like to start with Mr. Alex with me here in the studio quickly. Wednesday, the national strike. Are all unions in accordance with this? Is there a general agreement between every single union to embark on this strike at every level across the country?
Okay, thank you very much. I took country info and the listeners. As of last Friday, that is on 2nd of June, we had a CWC and NEC meeting in Abuja, where every unions were properly represented. And in that meeting, at the end of the day, there was a communique that was reached and agreed that we embark on a national protest and a strike action on the 7th of June, which is Wednesday, precisely.
Saying conversations with that, well, the NLC in Rivers State might not be part of that strike. That's some of the reports that have been coming in public space. Clarify for us. So are you saying that the NLC in Rivers State is fully going to participate in that strike action?
I don't know where you get your reports. I don't know who is representing NLC in Rivers State. But so far as NLC University is concerned today, I'm the state chairperson, and I've made several statements to press. And I've also informed my people, even the public, in terms of mobilization of this strike action come Wednesday. So, any information I'm getting is contrary. I'm speaking to you, we have gone for final mobilization. Come Wednesday midnight, the strike will commence in Rivers State.
And then tell us, you weren't present at the meeting where the TUC was with the government and certain a list of demands were tendered. Is there any reason why the NLC wasn't a part of that meeting?
Well, we had our own NEC meeting, and for us, one thing first, when we are taught economics in secondary school, we say put your priority in scale of preference. The first, when the government came that subsidy is gone, even when it's in the budget, the target is by 30th of June. And it not just end there, NNPC came with a price, and which has caused so much hardship for Nigerians. For us, we think that any discussion now is like putting in a disadvantaged position. So we have to take our position. So I will have a balanced ground to discuss going forward. Because if you can't begin to increase the scale of preference. For us, put the things that you think that are meant to cushion this subsidy removal first, before you think of the removal. So you will not put the failure of government on the masses. So as NLC, we felt very disappointed by such actions from the government. And for us, we have no choice than to defend and protect our members, our workers, Nigerians at large.
The demands made by the TUC, is this something that's also similar to what the NLC would have wanted from the government, or the NLC might have a separate demand? How does this work? Is it both unions, all the unions work together and have a common goal?
Well, we have not, for right now, our demands are very clear. before now, even before the government. First of all, put the refineries to work. We have refineries, 4 refineries in this country. It was built far back in 1970s and early 80s. It has been operating. How come right now for over the years, for the full 8 years of the past administration, they couldn't put it to work? Build new ones, it could not build new ones. Nigeria is the only oil producing country that is still importing refined products. It is not acceptable. And again, when you look at this subsidy of 18, for us, we feel that it's not really clear. We also want some clarifications on how you say you are spending this subsidy money. Who are the beneficiaries? And these are things we begin to dig into and want to verify, want to find out before we begin to inform our decisions and our position going forward. So because if you look at the current price by the NNPC, you will see the massive hardship it has brought to Nigerians in terms of transportation and goods and services increase. People cannot even go to work. If you go to civil service, go to the podium block, see many people cannot even afford to go to transport. Even the private sector, some persons cannot even afford because the salary is not even enough to pay transport to work. Talk of to take care of yourself. So is that how we're going to live our life as Nigerians?
Okay.
So first thing first is that if you want to increase minimum wage, increase the minimum wage first. Build the palliatives, put the refineries in place. Then if you remove subsidy, nobody cares. Because already the things, the provision have been made. But for now, there's no provision, nothing on ground. They said the refineries will call. The idea why it was fixed for June was because it was presumed that before then, Dangote refinery will operate, Portugal refineries will operate. But right now, since it did not achieve that, why can't you extend the subsidy regime?
Good question. Let's go to Dr. Eze. Dr. Eze, I'm pretty sure you've been following on with the conversation. Hello.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so talk to us quickly with the TUC on this now. We know that demands have been placed. You had your meetings with the government. Is the TUC, when you look at this national strike action that organized labor is looking at having, and with the situation at which the economy is at the moment and the impact it has on Nigerians with the subsidy removal, do you think that the strike action would be the best approach, especially when you look at the economic implication of the strike action and what that would still mean for the average Nigerian?
Me and you know that in this country, the government can only listen to people when they are confronted. You know that the removal of this subsidy, the way it was done, was wrong. And for organized labor, what is our main aim? The welfare of workers and protection of their jobs. If NLC and TUC, they've demanded that government should do the needful, if government does the needful, there won't be any reason for the strike. So the strike we're even talking about now, the buck stops on the government's table.
What's the guarantee?
They know what to do.
What's the guarantee that the government would listen? I mean, because if I remember clearly, Mr. Alex, you can also contribute to this after now. When we had the president, at the time it was president-elect campaigning, he said, protest, strike as much as you want, we are removing subsidy. That doesn't sound like a president or a man who, if had become president and now that he's president, would want to think about shifting grounds. So what's the confidence that Labour has that, well, this strike would force the government to reverse the prices, especially now that the NNPC is no longer something controlled by the government, it's more like a private business, it's a limited now, limited company. So if you also put into perspective the fact that ASU had been on strike, if you remember, for almost a year, and even till this moment, we didn't get any result from that strike. We couldn't see exactly the government bulging towards that, the demands of ASU. Why are you confident that in the case of organized labor, it would be different?
You should understand that TUC and NLC the engine room of any nation, especially in Nigeria. Of course, you know TUC. Under TUC, you have associations like Pengasan. So I don't expect that government should actually allow them to go on full strike, because they know the consequences will be huge. Then again, talking about what the president said during campaign, of course, all the people that supported him must have done that based on the fact that, yes, you say you're going to remove subsidy, but there will be things on the ground to actually ameliorate the suffering of the people, your supporters, the people that voted for you, even if you're going to remove the subsidy. That is the right thing to do. Just like the guest in the studio there just said, for over 9 years or more now, we've been saying that we are not against removal of subsidy, but certain things must be done. Just like you mentioned, the refinery. We should go into local productions. It's really disheartening that none of these things has been done. Electricity should be available, improve transportation for the masses. These are simple demands.
But is this...
There are no rocket science.
Some people feel like if the
before
NLC...
it be removed.
Some people feel like if organized labor had done what it needed to do, if it had held this sort of strike, prior to this time, we might have seen some changes. I mean, this government just came into power, and we've had the petrol situation from the last administration lingering, the prices fluctuating at different times, but not much was heard from organized labor. Why was that?
You mean prior to the election?
Yes, I'm talking about towards the tail end of the last administration. We know, if you remember, petrol went up to about 200, sometime 300 naira in some places at the time, and Nigerians were bearing the brunt for that, and many were calling on labor to rise up and do something. People even were asking for a protest, but we didn't hear any of those from labor. So why was that, and why is it now?
Okay, you quite remember that was just prior to election, and you know the political interpretation of certain actions, even when it's not true. So at that point in time, the country was volatile. The volatility surrounding everything happening then wasn't really conducive for that. And again, the government never removed the subsidy. So we were actually trying to understand exactly where the problem is coming from, because they were pointing at marketers, for instance. And of course, there is that hope that after the election, that the person that will pilot the affairs of the nation will get things sorted out. You know, when you have hope, you tend to tarry on a little while. That was exactly what happened.
All right, Dr. Eze.
I give you another instance, just like the money that we are trying to, change. You would have asked, why didn't Labour go on strike immediately? But there was that hope that, look, within a short while, things will be sorted out. So why do you go for the broke?
Well said, but if we look at it, things didn't really sort itself out with regards to petrol price. In fact, it just got worse. We're going to come back to you, Dr. Eze, stay on the line. Let's come to Mr. Alex in the studio, but you'll be responding to this same question after the commercial. We have a very short commercial coming. Let us know whether you agree with what he has said, or perhaps there's more you'd want to add to it. And when we return, there's still a lot more to talk about, especially here in Rivers State, the role of labor, pensioners, workers' salaries, increase in salaries, implementation of the minimum wage, and so on and so forth. Join the conversation. Nigeria Info 92.3 PH on Facebook, Nigeria Info PH on Twitter. Stay tuned. the hour of 8, and we're still very much into a conversation here. The NLC is looking at a national strike from Wednesday, and my guest in the studio, Alex Agwanwor, Rivers NLC chairman, live with me, and via telephone. I'm also speaking with the TUC executive, Dr. Eze, with us via phone. Before we went on that break, I was asking him a question about, what he thinks with the situation concerning how the subsidy issue and petrol situation has been managed, and people that would say the confidence that something will come out of this, or even why this is happening now. Many had expected Labour to have acted, prior to this time, and he had said, well, the election period, the volatility of the situation at the time was some of the reasons he gave. Mr. Alex, do you share the same thoughts? For the NLC at the time, just didn't think it was the right way to go.
Yeah, I think I want to align myself with those reasons, because all of us will agree that the political system was highly polarized, and some persons are trying to take advantage to cause some level of havoc within the country. And however, it didn't stop us from engaging government all this period. Even with the system, it didn't stop like that. If not for the engagement we're having and stop to threats, it would have been worse before now. So that has kept them on bail, and that was the reason why they have been extended. Initially, subsidy was not in the budget this year, 2023. But because of our subtle trade and push, that was how they now approved for the 6 months, if you can remember. So I think it's not that we just relax, we kept quiet. We're also being careful, because this country, all of us wants it.
It brings us to one of the demands that the TUC had on its list, but the meeting it had with the government, which is the increase in minimum wage. The last increase we had that took us to 30,000 naira now. The implementation of that has been very questionable, and I'm sure that the NLC would be fully aware of this fact. In Rivers State, there are workers who still say, well, it's not reflected in their pay as it ought to, with regards to full implementation of the new minimum wage. Where are we with the minimum wage implementation and the demand for a new one when we haven't had the old one fully implemented?
Okay, I think I can speak for Rivers State.
Yes, for Rivers State.
Yeah, for Rivers State, I think the minimum wage 30,000 have been implemented.
Across board, fully.
Across the board, yeah. What we have issue is a consequential adjustment, where the tripartite committee have also sent their report. So since I came on board, I've requested for that report. I'm studying the report.
How long ago was that report sent?
That report was before I came on board. So when I came, I requested for it. I'm also studying it, and I think hopefully we engage government in areas that we think very important to the benefit of our workers in Rivers State.
Dr. Eze.
Yeah, I'm listening to you,
yes.
But your guest
the question was with regards to one of the demands on the list that the TUC had that was submitted to the government was increase in minimum wage. But then we all are aware that the implementation increase that we have brought us to 30,000 naira is still very difficult for many parts of the country. And then in Rivers State, we still have reports of some workers who say that, well, they haven't really had the full implementation of the new minimum wage, let alone the consequential adjustment that should follow it as well. The TUC is aware of this. What's your view? If we're demanding for a new wage, what about the old one and its implementation?
We'll all understand that the essence of removing the subsidy, or the subsidy removal, so to say, is because more money will be made available to the government. So if more money is made available to the government, it's expected that all these should be addressed. Because remember, this while the government have been going about saying that the whole problem of that is based on this subsidy. They are putting the whole money back. So they're going to get the whole money back from subsidy. They should be able to do the needful. That's where TUC lean on. So we get the money, make it available. And that's actually the cost of the matter. Government got to take a concrete commitment, do a concrete commitment to know that the money there's going to be regenerated removal of this subsidy is used judiciously and not some people using it to line their pockets while the masses see the subsidy. But the trend is enormous into the streets on that what is going on. So at the minimum wage we are talking about 30,000 naira. Just with exchange rate, for instance, all that has been happening, the inflation and so on and so on. You know that is half of the really. So we can come out of this and the government understand that the workers' salaries must be improved and it must be implemented all across the country, including the various states have been presented. But the campaign they do every other thing they need to do. They live a lifestyle and so on and so forth.
Government.
It's a question of will. It's a question
the monies that they acquire. They need to see organized labor an idea of what it intends to do with the money that it was going to recover from subsidy removal.
For now, I wouldn't say yes. Categorically, they haven't.
Was that part of the demands of the TUC?
Yes, and it must be concrete. And just like the NLC said, we are actually thinking for the way of like, why don't you leave this and leave this subsidy removal and get these things sorted out completely before you go on this, because there is trust deficit. You and I know that. This subsidy removal adjustment over years, we've been doing that without actually government do what they said to do with the money. Remember the shoppies and so on and so forth. Improving the masses apart from people getting rich through that. So it's part of our demand. And we live going
That's for us. Thank you very much, Mr. Alex. I'm sure you might want to respond to that. That's something NLC has no idea or any idea. It wants with the money to recover. All right, a few messages on WhatsApp and Facebook before we open the phone lines. Person says your guest in the studio telling you the truth when he said the rest of the government has implemented minimum. The government have not gotten any additional services to you when you're cross board. The 30th one has been implemented. Out some more before you respond. Those subsidy removals is very much welcomed by me and should be accepted by all major. Okay. The price fixed by NMPC on WhatsApps. Good morning. Many people don't understand the point of buying petrol subsidy and its dangers to development of Nigeria. There's no subsidized petrol was simply to make the product of iron petrol cost. They make money. Charles Cottrell. I just hope that President Tinubu holds on his audacious quest. Okay. On Facebook, with the removal of subsidy, Al Hassan Danladi says NLC should allow us our existing ones. What will the try if not more hardship? Mr. Aloy says the strike is uncalled for. I think NLC should give the president a chance to put things right. We, the masses, are okay with the removal of petrol subsidy provided it invested wisely. Well, I think everyone must frustrate this efforts of removal of subsidy. If truly they love Nigerians, as Nigerians already know that the NLC has nothing good to give Nigerians except deceit. All right, there you have some of the comments on Facebook. Let's open the phone lines so you can ask your questions and make your contributions. 0817-923-0007. Again, 0817-923-0007. 0817-923-0003. 0817-923-0003. An executive of TUC is with us on the show, and the NLC chairman in Rivers State is also here with us live in the studio. Why are you still fixing prices for private entities and regulating them? You're asking the point I was trying to make exactly. This one says, your guest in the studio not telling you the truth. When he said Rivers government has implemented local government not gotten national rights, what document is he studying? Okay, this one says the Labour should relax. It's enough and time all indeed to the end of this new government president. When the refinery have not worked all this while, why didn't they call for strike? Wasn't it because they were eating through the back door? Let them give way. No one is ready for change. No one ready for change will join them. We are tired of Labour's planned actions that has never brought any improvement to Nigerians. Another message says, good morning to everyone. After the demand put in the refinery work is a tall order, but engaging the federal government and all governors to sign the amendment for implementation of minimum wage since it has been signed by the former president. Well, that's where we are. All right, we'll be taking your calls now. 0817-923-0007. 0817-923-0003 are the numbers to call. How long does this strike intend to last, Mr. Alex?
Okay. Thank you very much. I think permit me to respond to one of the messages.
Okay.
Regards to the local government. Some people misunderstand minimum wage. The minimum wage is not increment in salary or implementing salaries or promotion or Nigeria. There is a standard of payment that every kind of Nigeria, organized, you employ any worker to earn. You don't employ anybody and pay him, whether private or public, less than 10 naira. So if state government it has not been implemented, I think I've not gotten that report. Even the state president of Nigerian of local government employees in River State is member of my council, is my auditor. So I've not gotten that report.
You've not gotten as in he hasn't mentioned it to you?
You're not mentioning it.
You've not had that conversation with him?
They even that gauge before I came in with the previous administration on this minimum wage. The report is here. They say there's not anybody issue. Then bring it on.
Let's go to the phone. Let's hear what the listeners have to say. Hello, Braid from Burkina.
Good morning to you, Sakori.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. I want to really thank you. So, as our leader, we shouldn't be economical with the truth. Local government has been carried along with and even the consequential aspect has not been done in River State. No matter who brings you on board, shouldn't be economical fruit. And listening to you, and this is some concern local welfare. And when you have the mobile subsidy, I think of the should meet with NNPC and other group, like also the TUC, NLC, and Open and Pengasin. Look at these things side by side before coming out to the public. Without studying all this gray area, you come out to pronounce that you have removed subsidy. Look at what happened. For administration,
all right, great. Thank you. Shay, good morning. Hello, Shay.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, you're welcome. Go on. With one.
Probably anything to relax. For the past 8 years of and all the actually coming say want to strike. Strike on what basis? Already the price regulations, we Nigerians, we are already getting used to it. Let this administration, the benefit on how our refinery will get to work in this country. Enough of the cabals eating of our money. It is better for our refinery to work. We will get used to it.
All right,
when Nigeria top 90, at least for a while, we suffer it. After that time, we're buying NL line, $35,000. We're buying NL line. Today, how much are we buying line? Some network will have prepared to even give the line free of charge.
Right.
Here with better than you.
Hey, Jason.
Good morning.
Welcome.
I know you that under the it's like all they probably have is how to increase their own salary, and that's all. For goodness sake. Oh, they should do this, they should do that. They said they have 100 people eating. Even when you see I should all that. This year. It is December, coming to December. Why they get NNP to all these questions are not answered, and all it is and the choice later that they can give them free don't make sense to me. They have never done that. How come they were told that the public they are selling through 100 net? Meanwhile, before it's less than that they were smuggling our product to that year. Who was to the border? The former president told us they are sham borders. We have million questions. What happened to the how much they are selling now when subsidy has been removed for the past year? What to kerosene? Why you have to those people who are party?
All right, let's go to Chin Rumo Kuta. We'll get a response from Dr. Eze. Hello, go ahead. Yes, you're welcome.
I'm told that the TUC are not working hand in hand with labor. Rather than when to negotiate salary. How much is the salary you are going to negotiate? Then let the salary and all the salary and buy the truth for 500 and just the truth 510 naira, 550 naira. I thought you go to negotiate this that and that. How important to everything for the truth? Also, I will have the whole important of the product is such a commodity as essential as petrol. You make your own impact and you catch it on Nigeria. Now, not under petrol because all these things will be swept on the carpet and the president will not and people are laughing. Look, people that are saying this thing, they don't know the effect that is happening on the street. As I'm not you have to make your friend because they are poor people.
Right. I'm pretty sure and let's get Dr. Eze. Thank you for staying with us. Hello, Eze. Hello.
I can hear you.
All right, I'm pretty sure you heard a few of the callers and the complaints about the TUC's demand salary increment when they expected more. Let me add to that. Is the TUC organized labor aware of move operations that a company, NNPC now being a private entity, operating in the manner in which it's operating, it is still the sole importer of petrol to point stores. Is organized labor also identified for these needs?
Yeah, I believe that
the negotiation going on. You know, some people come to air and make unfounded ideas. He's surprised there are no smart people. He's a being ignorant. That salary increase is not even meant for TUC. What we are demanding for is for every worker in Nigeria. And beyond that, we have other demands we made from government. Yes, if we want to say that subsidy must go, these welfare packages must be put in place. So what is the need of asking all those questions when you've not demanded for those welfare packages to be put in place? Is that being smart? Yes, the questions he asked, we've been asking those questions, and those are some of the things we want to resolve before the subsidy is removed. We've been asking those questions, all the things you just mentioned.
All right, Dr.
The point is, we don't just ask what they are and don't sit on the part. I think we're not collaborating with the NLC.
All right,
we're collaborating different level centers. So we engaging government on different
because of the time, thank you very much. Let's try to wrap up Alex here in the studio. Thank you once again, Dr. Eze, for joining us.
Thank you.
We only have less than a minute. Tell us, you have callers. The more population, structural, consequential adjustment, less than a minute. What would you?
Yeah, you know, as I said, people just come online suddenly. If you agree with me, you know this question first. I said one thing, I will repeat it. That minimum wage, so far as the best of my knowledge, have been implemented. But the sequential adjustment is what has not been implemented. That me said that earlier. And somebody will come here and say that, comrade, don't deceive people, don't lie.
Is there price in mind?
Should be getting the fast side.
How much, if what to increase, how much would have in mind? Just tell us. What's the figure? Last time, the 1330, and there was a dip to 30. What the figure for this time?
If you look at the energy price in terms of about 100% increase.
Time let us. I just get a number, but you didn't give me that. We have to stay.
We'll be right after. Okay.
NLC. Before we wrap up quickly, what demands is with regards to how the minimum wage would labor before what it how long is that? So if that does not happen, the strike continues.
The strike continues.
Well, what if it turned out a case where the government used to implement the power? I mean, we saw what happened with labor, and how the courts now came into play. Still might happen, and Nigerians get the strike experience. If you think about it.
All Nigerians are people are sick home because no enough to go to work. So I want to plead with Nigerians. They should be with us and give us a chance. Because NLC today should be to the people.
Thank you very much for your time. Hopefully, we bring a minimum wage implemented and consequential adjustment.
almost 300 games. 26 I have been entrusted to take the game-winning shot missed. I have failed over and over and over and over again in my life. And that's why I succeed. Michael Jordan. 9 minutes gone past the hour of 9 o'clock. It's 10. The mainstream industry of